Mao's for more than 40 years.
Well, Yu was designated the big fall guy, the main victim of the Cultural Revolution. And he and his family suffered dreadful persecution. He was totally loyal, but he was described as a traitor. He was drummed out of the party. He was a sick man who needed medication and treatment. He was deprived of that. He was sent down to an old prison without anything round him except a blanket and left to die without any medical assistance on the floor of that prison. He was kept alive long enough to be excommunicated from the party at the party conference. And when that was done, he'd served his purpose, and he was in effect killed.
Mao's great cultural revolution was to last 10 years.
And the whole thing was an immense disaster, as you might expect. It ruined the country, it brought chaos for 3 years at least, it disrupted education, it brutalized the intellectuals, it ruined China's international credit, and it left a legacy of lasting bitterness and disillusion.
Mao's wife, Jiang Qing, was now called the Empress within the Forbidden City. Mao relied on her more and more to keep him in power.
She was a ranting, raving political maniac, sort of, throwing her weight around, making agitational speeches in a high, shrill voice, very clever demagogue. She knew how to arouse people, cruel. I saw her in a meeting that I was in the course of about an hour. She denounced 3 high-ranking persons as enemies and demanded that they be arrested and so on, one of whom was present at this meeting, for totally groundless. No grounds, no evidence, no thought of taking them to court or anything of that sort.
While Jiang Qing and Mao became more dependent on each other politically, their private life disintegrated.
有一次，这个在文化大革命已经开始了，毛正在跟这个女的在 play， 江青突然来了，这2个女人，她突然来了，这个警卫不好挡她，因为她是江青啊，她就直接往里面走。 那别人就赶紧说快点，这2个人衣服都没有穿，然后就跑到另外一个房间里去了。那毛从此就很生气，他说：“怎么别的那时候已经是9大第9次代表，就是1969年以后了，第9次代表大会之后，江青已经选成了政治局委员。然后毛说呢，别的政治局委员到我这儿来都要事先报告。” 江青有什么特权不报告就到我这里来，然后告诉汪东兴，以后江青必须得到我的允许才可以来，不得到我的允许不可以来。
In 1972, Mao invited his former enemies, now his American capitalist friends, to visit Beijing. It was a desperate attempt by Mao to end China's international isolation and to get economic support from President Nixon and his Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger. By this time, Mao was politically and physically exhausted. He became totally dependent on his 2 favorite mistresses, Zhang Yushang and Meng Jinyun.
那么实际上，他们政治局或是有什么事情的时候，他们可以写报告。 写报告去了之后呢，那么由张一凤读给他听，或者孟锦华读给他听。然后他说这件事他同意，他自己也不能画圈了，就在他名字上呢，由张一凤或者孟锦云呢，在上面画个圈，那就同意了。他毅力还是坚强的，这个人，这人从来不承认失败的。 他身体再不好的时候，他也不承认他是失败的，他不承认他身体不好的，他还是在尽他最大的力量来生活吧。因为他跟我讲的最后一句话，就他死前的最后的一句话，他就是把我叫到他床旁边去了。他问我还有没有希望。当然我讲，我从医生的角度，我不能说是没有希望，我说我们会想办法。然后讲了这个话以后，他死掉了。
When Mao died, aged 82, the nation's farewell was fitting for a departed emperor. He had ruled a quarter of the world's population for a quarter of a century, but his great cultural revolution had left China impoverished and in chaos. Mao was dead only 4 weeks when his wife, Jiang Qing, was arrested. The wives of dead emperors by tradition are punished. After 12 years in prison, she committed suicide.
没有第二个人在中国有力量、有条件来毁灭毛泽东，只有他自己。因为文化大革命是一个极端，文化大革命期间，毛泽东把他自己的一切错误都推到了顶峰，推到了极端。原来人们对他的某些错误可能有一点感觉，但是觉得跟自己没什么关系，也许甚至觉得不一定是错误。但是到了文化大革命的时候，你想想看，10亿人里有1个亿直接间接的遭到了政治迫害，那就不是一小撮了，是吧？以前是1%，现在是1/10的人。
随着人们对于毛泽东的历史和中共的历史越来越清楚，就是毛泽东是这个作为一个千古罪人来说是没有疑义的，就是他给这个民族，甚至给我们今天人类所带来的灾难，都不是短短的几年、几十年所能消除的，将疑惑我们的子孙后代。就是。
He was a revolutionary. He was a visionary, he was a dogmatist, he was a tyrant, and ultimately he was a monster.
观众朋友们，谢谢您收看今晚的毛泽东100年名旦特辑，也请您别忘了下周一晚间10点钟继续收看台视新闻热线追踪节目。祝您晚安，再会。